How many interviews have we done any interviews yet?
Done any. We had 2 for my position, 1 backed out. So now we only have 1. And we got a real good application for the environmental health officer. So
Oh, we need to do.
yeah, we're
One
gonna
for
do
you.
an interview on both of them as soon as Michelle can line them up. I did want more than 1 for the health officer, but there's absolutely nothing coming in that's worth looking at. Nothing. 10 applications and 9 of them are just totally wrong. But the one we are going to interview comes with 3 years experience as a health officer. So that's good. And I think it's the environmental.
I think that might go you, Don Edwards or the
Oh.
current
Okay.
chair.
That's enough.
Stop with the. Anybody else getting these nonstop emails to sign a authorization for county commissioners? I get them all the time where somebody's always trying to get me to.
Really? I've got a
urgently
couple
sign
of them
something.
lately. Just make sure you get them, you can right click and report it as phishing and then it should stop them.
I usually just delete it.
Yeah, but if you report them as phishing to Outlook, it'll start getting rid of them for you.
Well, yeah, it makes you wonder though, no, why he's
I
gonna.
try to sound official, but
Maybe give that to,
Yes.
recommended
this,
because
township.
I noticed something. The Sarah, just because it gives it. Yeah. Inclusion of Albert Township Transfer Station in Ontario. No, it's not. Okay. I didn't know if you had notes. That was the only thing I picked up. Okay, did you report on that one too, then? Yeah, I would do that. If you want to, you can do that. Yeah, we don't have any sites. Call to order. Probably do roll call, Cheryl. Oh, what's happening?
You want a verbal roll call? I mean, I have
Well,
everybody down.
It picked
Oh,
up,
none-
yeah,
none-
Michelle. Is that?
That's what I have. I have.
So Bob, you're Lloyd, Michelle.
feedback on every mic.
Yes.
I don't know.
They can't hear. I don't know. I'm just saying. No. Is it working? No. I think it's gonna get the speed. It's never happened before.
You can mute yourself.
Yeah. See if that works. Nope.
Parrot. Oh.
Hang on. Take a few minutes. See if you can get it.
I don't.
Volume.
It shouldn't.
Mhm.
Thank you. How about now?
Is it working?
Now it should be working.
Ah, there we go. Found out the. Okay. So the only special change to the agenda is the special presentation, number 8, has been asked to be rescheduled. We do have room for it on the 10/26 meeting. So that's the only change. Is there any other changes that anyone else has? Hearing none, I'd make the motion to accept the approval of the agenda with the rescheduling of number 8 to 10/26/25.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes. We have the BOC meeting minutes from October 23rd, 2025. Does anyone have any changes? I'd make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from October 23, 2025 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Claims and accounts. The claims and accounts for October 2024, 2025 to November 13, 2025. Claimed $39,122.20. EFTs, $697,230.64. Desk checks of $53,611.32 for a grand total of $789,964.16.
Make the motion, we accept that.
And I'll support. Any discussion? Roll call, please. DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Ardius, yes. Altier,
Yes.
public comments. Public comment. Special presentation has been rescheduled, so we are at number 9, department head reports. Was done. I see anyone here. Number 10 is committee reports.
Just the usual landfill, kind of going at an even keel. Fuel levels are about the same as they have been, and the induction wells roughly injecting as much as it usually does. Very little from month to month.
Okay. Are you going to Sarah's meetings as well? Has she? Okay, they're usually the 911 meeting.
Yeah, go to the 911 meeting.
Thought maybe one was coming up soon. Okay,
I think it's every 3 months, isn't it?
yeah, you're right, it's probably December. What?
Yeah, first committee that I was on is Thunder Bay Transportation. Kind of a short meeting, 2:30 to 3. We're getting into the rebuilding of our building. Everything is moving forward, but it's very slow due to MDOT. When MDOT's playing with your money, you gotta have so much paperwork in It's unreal. We ran into a problem with a new roof. The redesign in the key areas where we've had bad leaks. We have to order all new roofing, so that's been ordered, and when that comes in, they're gonna get it on, whether it's rain, snow, sleet, shine, whatever. The only other big thing that we had was our employee gift. I believe it was last year, we did $50 per individual, and they want to go to 100. Angie's gonna do a study on that and give us, she's gonna get with Mary, our accountant, and if that's possible, they're gonna get $100 bonus for Christmas. That's all on Thunder Bay. I just came from a meeting for Northeast Michigan Community Mental Health. We had a new member placed on our board, Dr. Lauren Tompkins. She's a psychologist. She's coming out of retirement from downstate. Her and her husband, they've owned property up here for about 30 years. And they just finished with a new house that they built up here. And she was sitting around going, I can't sit around, I gotta do something. So she saw an advertisement in the paper for mental health, and she came down, talked to Nina, and Nina put her on the board immediately. So that was great. We had a presentation by Jen Wahlberg on compliance and ethics. That was about a half an hour, and it was an excellent presentation. Jen really knows her stuff. She gave her presentation nonstop, no tripping, no following up, one right after the other, presented everything. Excellent class. And then we discussed the fall conference. I didn't get a chance to go to that this year, but it was attended by more employees and commissioners than we've ever had there before. And I heard it was a really good conference, so I'm a little disappointed that I had to miss it, but very happy that everybody that did go enjoyed a really good conference. And the employees have to go to these conferences because they have to get so many of these classes in their record, or they lose their accreditation. So we've got a new nominating committee that was just put together tonight. We've got elections coming up in January, so that was finished up today. And we went through our bylaws, the bylaw board regarding employment. That was covered by, it's a new lady that gave that presentation. And she did a real good job, and sounds like she's got a good handle on the bylaws. So being that she's new, I'm looking forward to working with her on the board also. And I had another one scheduled, NEPSCA, but somehow I got that fouled up. I went to Sheboygan and the meeting was in Alpena. So I missed that board. That's all I have.
I had a materials management, a couple meetings. We are still going over surveys for recycling. We went over some residential survey questions on what in our area, our county, asking residents what they would where they think would be the best place they would like for drop-offs, what kind of recycling materials they would use, that they would drop off. Just, we had some questions about residential and distribution channels on how we could get the word out. What would be the best, I think. Cheryl had helped with that, places like the, newspaper, online, things like that, getting out to the, residents, but mainly just getting input, from residents in our county. So we're trying to finish that up. The next. And we should have that done, I think, I think we're finishing those surveys up.
Yeah, we have a meeting next
Next-
week, I think it is.
Yeah, and then the surveys, they should be
So
done
probably whenever, hopefully have all our questions, surveys ready to
to where they could get the survey.
get it going, so we can get it pushed out.
Yep.
It's a
Um,
pretty tight timeline, isn't it, when they want you to have everything?
Yeah, because there's so many different. There's different things that they're going through. They're doing best practices drop off, special materials. There's different materials, there's plastics, there's so many different options that we have.
And some counties already have, they are already recycling, so our surveys are different from county to county, depending on what you might already have in place.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to think about. when
So
we're
it's county to
thinking.
county, even though we are working in conjunction with the
County
other
and then
side.
townships too, because it breaks it down in townships too. Yeah. Then I had Michigan Works. We're having our annual meeting in December. It will be in Gaylord. Of course, our SNAP was on pause, but now the government shutdown is supposedly done, so we'll see what's happening there. Upcoming grants that we're looking to T-Mobile hometown grant. 50,000 for techs on upgrades at the office. They have regional marketing campaign, training assistants. They're working on their 2025 annual report. They do have the GoPro Talent Fund zeroed out. Final budget we lost, 22 million 40, which is 40% of the total funding. We're only going to get 33 million for that. So they've lost quite a bit in their funds. So with this government shutdown done, we're going to see if we get any of these extra funds back. We don't know. So it's just, they're just waiting. Probably I talked with one of the ladies in the Onaway office, and she said that by the end of the week, they should know a little bit more if more of their funds are going to be getting back and how much.
And then they'll know what programs.
Right. Maybe they can shift funds from one to another, but it just depends on the monies that are allowed. If they're going to be able to have certain programs going. Substance use. The admissions for non-prescription methadone, we're at 0. Marijuana, they have 3%. This is overall through 25 so far.
Where's this on?
What committee was
This is all within the 22 counties. Substance use. And then
Substance use.
Yeah. They did have here, they do have the number of admissions per fiscal year for the month. They say that for all of the admissions, we are down 15% from last year. 15, yes. A lot of it is, they said, is because of loss of Medicaid and plan changes. Otherwise, they would be about at the same number that they were last year. Last year, they were at 4,484 as of right now, and this would have been October that this was done. They were at 3810, so they're down 15%. That's all I have for you.
And I had
Just curious, what is the GoPro Talent Fund?
The GoPro Talent Fund, I'd have to look this up. A lot of it is where I have these programs where they will help individuals look for work, and they have their staff. They will help them with training. They will help them with their resumes, anything that they may need to help get a job.
Is that the program for vocational training too that they'll support?
Yes,
They'll even give, they were giving scholarships.
yes, they were.
I just need to rename it. When I hear GoPro, I think you can strap a camera on your head.
I know. Yes.
And I had FPS, and Michelle LaRose had talked about meetings where we can talk to about the sheriff's concerns, and that is what the FPS is actually for. It's finance personnel and the sheriff committee. So we can do we can discuss vehicles and updates and things right there during that meeting. We already do that twice a month. That is already a committee. And that's what I had was FPS. You already got the report. Controller's report.
One more thing before you hop on the committees, if I could, that I wanted
Yeah.
to bring up on our materials management, the surveys that we're working on. We still, somebody still needs to push this information out. So I put together quite a list of ideas of where I thought they could go to, but the survey itself, besides being, put on our county website, it still needs to get pushed out to the townships and various places. So I don't know, they were discussing different people that would be able to do that. I put together a list, but I'm not willing to keep track of it, or I guess push out the survey. So I don't know if that's something that it's gonna be something that needs to be decided. So I don't know how other counties are handling. I think in Alpena, Jesse may be doing it. It's some of the other entities. I don't know who, like, for instance, in Oscoda, who's doing it. I don't know if there was one of their commissioners or something that was maybe gonna do it through their board. But there's gonna have to be some decision made on who's going to,
Because people
Push
aren't
that
getting
out.
back with us. Very good.
well, and I don't know. I think it's just a matter of getting it out there, getting the survey out, but I
Yeah.
think the responses and to let people know where they can go online to fill out a survey, and then I think it's gonna go back to this entity that we have that's coordinating it all. They will compile all the figures, but it's just a matter of getting it out to,
Is it like
the people.
Survey Monkey and there's a
Yeah.
QR code you can download and
I
do
don't know what
things?
they're gonna come up with, but I just
Okay.
know that they were talking about, I asked if they could do it, this group that we're working with, but no, they're not something, I think they're depending on each county or whatever, doing their own, pushing out the survey, once we get the survey questions done.
That is a good idea. That's what I was gonna say, because you do the survey, when you get the QR code, you put the QR code on a piece of paper and just a little, please take this survey, and people can distribute.
They're planning on doing some sort of QR code, but I guess what I'm saying is once the survey gets done, it sounded like they were gonna push that out maybe to Michelle and I.
Yeah.
And then it would be up to us to
That's
figure out
a
somebody,
lot.
how are we gonna get it out to our people? So,
Do on social media or?
But there's a lot that don't do social media. That's the thing too, so I don't know. You gotta about do both.
I don't
Well, it
know.
needs to
Some
go to
paper.
going to the townships is probably the best idea. Couldn't we just push it out to our townships? We have that list.
Yeah, I put together
Yeah.
quite a comprehensive list of who it should go to with emails, but like I said, I'm not gonna be the one to compile the whole thing and to push it
Yeah.
out to people. So. We're gonna need to figure that out still. Let's see what they come up with next meeting, at our next meeting, and see exactly what it is. I don't know.
Okay.
That might determine how we move forward with how to get it to people.
Okay. Controllers report.
Okay, I gave you guys my report, but I had just a couple things added to it that happened during the last few days. Just an FYI, I know I brought it up a while ago in the report about Black River Ranch, the pending sale that could be happening at the state purchasing Black River Ranch. That could happen by the end of the year here. They have a deadline in December to finalize the sale. So what happened was the state basically gave an offer to the landowner of the ranch, and they have a lease for a year instead, that they got to lease it for a year. And then it's supposed to make a decision at the end of the year if they're gonna sell it to them, or if somebody came up with a better option or more money or whatever, they would sell it to that person. But I guess the members of the ranch all came up with $18 million above, so it's a higher amount than what the state had, and they were offering to buy it, but now they're kind of pushing back and won't sell it to the members, so I don't know what's happening here, but anyways, it is going to our state representative and being talked about trying to stop the sale, just because this could be a huge hit to counties, schools. You're looking at possibly $68,000 of revenue for between the road commission, schools, townships, county revenue, and everything if the sale happens, so it's something that's happening with the state reps right now, and Sheboygan County is calling in as well because it affects them, so.
That portion of that ranch is in Montmorency County.
2 million of our taxable value. So it's a pretty hefty chunk, and it hits Montmorency harder.
Sheboygan County, isn't it?
Hmm?
Majority of it is in Sheboygan County, isn't
It's gonna hit Montmorency more because of our smaller size, but the majority of it actually, I think, is more of it is in Montmorency than Sheboygan. It might be touchy. The problem is that it does meet up with Cannon Creek Ranch. And that could be a pending option down the road too, if the state's purchasing land that, so if this is something that could start happening, you're looking at more land going out of tax property for the county to receive revenue on. But anyways, Cam Cabot is working on that, and talking to the state to try to, we had a resident that was interested and pushed on it a little bit, so they got somebody working on it. The MEDC grant and generator purchases, the generators are purchased along with the accessories. There was a couple things that ended out of stock, but Home Depot has been really great about getting everything taken care of on that. They're going to be delivered to us. Corey at Tri-Township Fire Department is going to let us use the fire hall to get them all delivered to, and then allow us to distribute to the businesses that were awarded it. I don't have a final list yet because Sarah's still waiting on information from one of the businesses. So once she has that information, then we're gonna put out that finalized list of who all is receiving the generators and everything. So that's coming.
I think that they will have these before. When it's back?
Yeah, they
About
should
when?
be here within the week or so, I'm
Okay.
hoping.
it? Yeah, but how long is it gonna take to get them installed?
These are
Those electricians are hard to get. They're always busy.
The FEMA category B, everything was submitted and they're finalizing the donated resources project on their end, and they kicked back the per diems for board members. Not sure why, even because the chair, technically our acting EM at the time. So we can appeal that. It's like $4,080 that they rejected just because of the per diems, because they assume that your per diems are for meetings, not for the work that you did during the thing. So I put together an appeal letter to FEMA for it, and the state supported it. Lieutenant Barker actually wrote a nice letter of support for it as well, and to submit with our appeal. So that's all going in there. So hopefully that should be added back in with no issue. Sheriff's Department facility and tech upgrades. I don't have any big updates other than I did meet with Donna and Chad yesterday, and we went over a bunch of stuff with our IT companies that we were looking at. And I talked to him about some of the upgrades for the Sheriff's Department and getting quotes for like the tree and things like that done this year, and then the rest of the stuff getting done next year. So him and I were working on that. So I should hopefully have some more answers soon.
So do they think they'll get the quotes in the next couple of weeks?
Hopefully we'll at least get the tree part taken care of here in the next couple of weeks. I don't know about what else will get completed yet. Fiscal 26 budget, the draft budget was sent out to all the department heads and the board for review for meeting with the next budget committee meeting, which is tomorrow. We'll be scheduling, I don't know if we'll schedule another meeting after that, depending, I think we might be able to fit everybody in that day. So hopefully we won't have to have another one. But if not, we will present a proposed budget to you on the 26th. And that's where you can ask more questions, finalize that. And then we put together the final numbers so that we can put it as a public hearing on December 11th, and it's got to go in the paper for 2 weeks. So that's the plan for that. Just a couple notes on things that have come through. The Veterans Treatment Court Grant, it was reduced in 26 drastically. They had a target award of 56,320 originally, and Kristen notified me that they had a shortage, so they're only getting 41,890 this year. But there was a hefty fund balance we've kept in that fund for that, because the county put 10,000 every year into that for them, and it didn't get used every time. So they had about $120,000 in that fund. So she's going to use some of that fund balance to offset those costs. So it won't cost the general fund any money. We'll be using that fund to do that. We met with local court management on October 27th. We approved all the contributions for fiscal 26. And then also the fiscal 24 surplus that we just received last week, actually. So that was an 18,448.76. That's money that came back to us for the year.
How much was that again?
The surplus, 18,448.76. Do you want me to read the contribution amounts? Okay. The jobs contract, that is the court contract for our recording system here. That was renewed again, same amount, $1,825. So that's been renewed for next year. The MERS annual payment increased, not as high as the last time, but it did increase by a total amount of $28,044. So that grand total that we'll pay for the year will be $725,064 for 2026. That gets split up among all the funds and departments for retirement. That is the defined benefit payment that we pay. So it's our unfunded liability that we're working on. DHD number 4, I put in the budget a 5% increase, and I also put a separate line on there with the additional amount to make the 10%. The numbers don't match still what Michelle had. I've emailed her. I'm going to call her again tomorrow and see if I can try to reach her. Just double
Gotta
check.
call her in
on
the
her.
morning, she'll be gone in the afternoon.
Okay. So I do have it in the budget up to the 10%. It is in there, but I still want to touch base with her because that is what we approved was the 5% for now. So, but I did put the 10% just so we had that in there and planned for. The MOG grant, the marijuana grant that it's a pass through to DHD4, that was submitted for the county of $1,760. They give you an amount that you're allowed to apply for. So they applied for it, but the budget, I sent that in with DHD4. So that's been put in. And then
What was that again, the amount?
$1,760. It's a complete pass through, comes in, goes right back out to DHD4. They use it for supplies and expenses for marijuana, safekeeping and things like that.
Thank you.
ORV, when I met with Chad and Donna yesterday, we were informed that the ORV grant, they had a huge surplus. And because of that, they pushed all the sheriff's departments, they wanted them to buy massive amounts of equipment. So they basically said, here, we're going to give you an extra $39,000 just for equipment. And we want you to, get some updates going. And so Donna and I were talking about it, and they were able to get quotes for 4-wheelers, 2025 4-wheelers in the showroom with an incentive on it that ends by the 30th. But the grant runs October 1 and they don't usually pay till the end of the grant. So Donna, I said, well, why don't we call and see if they can reimburse us early? And they gave us permission that once we purchase these equipment, they'll reimburse us right away. So we won't be having to wait till the next year to get the money back. So with those quotes, that information I can tell you on those.
Is that ORV only, or can they use that money for like marine?
Nope, ORV only. Specific. Okay, so we were able to get a low side utility trailer for $5,995. And we were able to get 2 new 4-wheelers, a 25 and a 26, for a total of $28,000. And so that if you guys are okay with us doing that, it will be fully reimbursed by the state. The state already approved everything. I'd like a motion to approve it so that I can have a desk check cut tomorrow and they can go pick those things up for them.
I'd make a motion to accept the ORV grant.
I'll second it.
Motion second, any discussion? No. Roll call,
More or less
please.
use it or lose it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Roll call, please, Carol.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Hardee's,
Yeah,
Pelletier,
Yes,
DeBron.
Yes.
Alright, so they will have those coming in. Access control and camera systems, I've received quotes from EPS, still waiting on the common angles information. I talked to, when I was talking to Ted Donnie yesterday, we discussed that after I met with Myrma for our renewal, I double checked, the new guidelines for the RAP grants and the camera system and the access control, because it's court security mandated things. We can get RAP grants of 50% reimbursed. So I asked EPS if they would also go out to the sheriff's department to look about getting their door systems updated and camera systems updated. Chad said they were very archaic, so I have an appointment next Wednesday to go out there with our EPS guy, so he can go out there and look at and see what they want done and get a quote for those two things. And so we can put it all together and hopefully get it reimbursed 50% from RAP at the same time. So working on that. Like I said, I don't have the quotes from Common Angle yet, but this will lead. Right now, the quotes coming in for the access system and the cameras, if we only have to pay 50%, would be 22,375.11. So, and that's all brand new camera systems, cloud-based, so that if the alarms were to go off here, dispatch would have live feed. They could actually say, oh no, it's just an employee, or, don't have to send a cop or anything. So they actually would have cloud-based access to that now. Also looking at the RAP grants, there was an item on there that said that emergency generators might be available, but there was some notes on it that it had to be for certain things. So I'm going to check to see if it would qualify, because we act as an operating center during emergencies, if they'd allow that as a purchase. If they do, that's a 50% grant too. And so our generator quotes right now are coming anywhere from $74,000 to $128,000. That's installed everything. So that would be a major savings to us if we could use that grant for it. So I'm going to check in on that. The court security items, I was able to get the 3 large benches, pews from the church donated for the courtroom. They've been pushing to get the chairs out of there. So we've been trying to find pews. We've had a couple leads to get some, and every time we go to get them, they sold up from under us or gone. But the church in Gaylord, St. Andrews, donated them to us. So we went and picked them up and had them delivered here. And I met with Jody and we went down, and she had her tell me how she wanted them laid out. So the chairs are now, there's extra chairs there, but they're stacked up and they can be secured. So that'll meet the requirements that Scale said they wanted them secured. So they're not just laying out. They are 16 footers. So they fit on that one side. They won't fit in here because there's 3 of them and it would just take up too much space. And this is more of we use this for other gatherings. And so they'd be too hard to move to have to get a gathering. You wouldn't be able to fit everything in here. So that's where they're at, is down there. The only other things left on that Scale recommendation 2023, when I was reviewing it, is they talked about the screening station and a building security officer. And they talked about, office relocations, moving it to make it more of a court building and a non-court building, things like that. And then removing bookcases from the courtroom A. I did talk to Jody about that. So she said she was going to look at options, what they needed to do for that, and what they need to keep, what they could get rid of, or what had to
I
go
think
there.
maybe somebody needs to talk to me, since I'm the law librarian.
I just-
all law library.
Yeah, it was just mentioned to her when we were doing the benches. I said that was on the Scale rec. So she said she was gonna see what the court needed. Scale says they don't want bookshelves in the room.
But they're up front. They're up against the wall. They're not in the public.
I said it's
It'd
just
be
a
different if
rec.
they were in the back.
I know, it's the recommendation. I'm not saying it has to be done. I'm just saying that's what they're gonna keep throwing on the recommendation.
Well,
Whether we do anything with it or not, that's up to us.
Yeah.
Just like these remaining things, technically, we don't have to do any of them. They're just recommendations.
Yeah.
Presque County has a scanning machine and then it sits empty and not used. So like, why put the money into it if it's not gonna be somebody you can man it and do all those things with? At the last meeting, we talked about McCoa. You had asked questions. I didn't talk to Bev. Her and I sat on the phone for a bit. She sent me some information. So she said that they had an agreement that they were gonna do the congregate meals. They were gonna bring them and have the meals to be able to be eaten at the Atlanta Center. But something happened between the Atlanta Senior Center and McCoa, when they said they were gonna do that they said, okay, well, you can have the meals there, but we're keeping all the equipment that belongs to McCoa. So the attorney got involved and says until that's settled, no longer have meals at the center until that's figured out, but they are still doing all the home deliveries for Atlanta. So I don't have an update on what's happening with that. I just know that they're getting home deliveries. And then everybody who was in Atlanta who was receiving meals at the center, they made arrangements to go to either Hillman or Lewiston to eat the meals. But so that's how that's being handled right now, but no new updates. But apparently the attorney is the one that said until they get that lease settlement equipment taken care of, to not use the facility.
Hope they took all your kitchen equipment out of there already.
Apparently nothing's been taken because that was kind of the argument is
No
whether,
wonder now they're gonna do that, meal for opening day if they have no kitchen equipment.
yeah, I'm not sure anything has been taken out at all at this point because everything kind of just went halted. I was working with a couple of the guys at Oakland, emergency management team that we had. They teach ICS classes, 300 and 400s. And I talked to Corey at the fire department and he said his guys needed them. So they were able to write a grant to cover the classes to be done here in Atlanta. And Corey's allowing us to use the fire hall to host the classes. And it'll be over 3 days. So it's a Saturday and Sunday of the 7th and 8th of February. And then the following weekend, the 15th, they'll do a Sunday. So the guys can go right to the fire hall, have the class done for the 300, and then they'll schedule the 400 after that so that they can get their certifications that they need. It's free to do. There's prereqs that you have to take in order to take the 300 and the 400 class. So board members are welcome to take that as well. You can take the trainings online and then go to the classes. I think you can seat up to 24 people in the class, but they have to have a minimum of 8 people to participate to have the class. So, and Corey said he had the guys to do it. So
we know it's gonna go forward then.
Does anybody have any information on what the ICS 300 or 400 is? Because I think back in the day, and I don't remember if Vicky, did you end up having to go, do you remember having to go online? Maybe you weren't here then. They made us go online 2 different times when Dave Butt was here. We got some sort of, and it sounded like this. These
So,
classes.
this is
we
the
had to
one-
do.
ICS 300 first, you have to have ICS 100, 200, then you have to do 700, 800 course all online. It's through FEMA and it's all the incident command systems. So you have to learn about how incident command works and all the categories in it and who's involved and what department does what and all the different intricacies of emergency management and incident command. 300 and 400 are the next level. So 300, basically you go to a course for 3 days and you learn about all the different incident command structures. And you actually have to write plans with the team that you're there with. So they actually physically have you get the plans out and you have to write up the plans yourself with, they give you scenarios that you have to do and you work with your team to do it. And then the 400 is the next step class after
Maybe
that.
they must have been one of the lower level, because I just remember doing it online.
I remember.
And we were
that
told
too.
we had to do it. And then when we got our badge, our county IDs, we even had something, there was something designation on there. And I think the only thing I remember was they said, well, like, for instance, on our badge, if you were coming into work and something happened that you needed, and there's a traffic jam up and they're redirecting traffic, you could show them your ID so that way you could get through to get into the office or whatever. But like I said, that was quite some time ago. And then, of course, Dave retired and I've not heard another thing about it since. So.
Well, anybody is allowed to take these classes. After the storm, and I got put into being incident command there for a little while when Mary had to go back to work. They talked to me about the classes and, just getting a general understanding of the whole process. So I went on and I did the 100, 200, 700, 800, and I went down and did the 300 class and got certified. And now all I need is the 400 class. So I'll be able to take the 400 class when it comes up here. They do have the 300 and 400 classes in the region, but they're usually a couple hours away. So this is nice for the firefighters to have a weekend to come and do it right here in the county, so they don't have to travel very far.
Is this something being shared with the Hillman Fire Department and Albert
Yeah.
as well?
Yep,
Okay.
so what's gonna happen, I just finalized the dates. they're supposed to put us a flyer together, and then I told, once I get the flyer, I'm gonna put it out on our website, on our Facebook, plus I'm gonna give it to Corey to pass to all the departments chiefs, so they can give it to their guys.
Okay.
Now, I could see a lot more than 25 or however many.
Some
What if
guys
they
already
a
have it.
couple? Okay, I was gonna say, what about maybe having like a couple days for couple different times for the 300 and the 400 if we have. quite a
Most of
few
your
people.
firefighters might already have them.
Oh,
The
okay.
newer guys are the ones that are
That's
gonna
what I
need
was
it.
thinking.
Okay,
And also some officers might need it, because, some get involved. When I was taking the 300 class, we had chief of police that were taking the course. So there are officers that could possibly take those classes if they wanted to do something like that too.
well, we could probably schedule another day.
Mhm.
out
I'm
if we
just
need
wondering
it.
what the likelihood is that someone like me would ever really need that.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
If you,
Yes, but,
Not
there's
necessarily.
half a dozen other people that are already qualified for that.
not necessarily would you need that, but it wouldn't hurt you to take the 100, 200 online classes, just to learn a little bit about the
Basics.
program. You know?
Right, that's why I was asking if anybody had any information, of what word, and take.
You broke it, Sharon.
No, somebody unmuted, that's the problem.
Anyways, I was just.
When I had the flyer and I had the prerequisites, Cheryl, it'll give you a website, because right now it's through my train that you can do the 100, 200, 700, 800 courses, and it's free, all online. But they're supposed to be shutting the my train site down and converting to something different, and I don't know what that's gonna be yet. They're supposed to be doing it through the state, so I should hopefully have information on where you can take the courses, if my train's still gonna be available or not, and so you can actually get on and look at the courses and see if it's something you're interested in
I
doing.
have my train login already, but for other things, I know you have to be added to a group if you're.
Yeah.
On there.
And my train is supposedly going away, so if you have transcript and certifications, you should download them,
No, I don't have anything like that. on there.
so. Next was the resolution of intent from the Brownfield Development Authority. Lindsay sent over a bunch of resolutions about the land bank and brownfield development, and we talked about sending it to the attorney, but I said maybe we should double check first to see what your guys' intent is to move forward with it, before we send it off to the attorney to have them review all the resolutions and everything, get involved. So I just need an answer from you guys on how you want to proceed with that. Want to move forward?
I'd make a motion to create the brown trout.
Brown trout.
Yeah, brown trout, yeah, brownfield development authority. For the county of Montmorency.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So the resolution to move forward don't mean we're committing to anything, right? Yeah, it doesn't. Correct on that?
So if we do the brownfield resolution of intent, it starts the process, which means we're getting the attorney to review it. And then that starts the whole step by step we have to do. So first is the resolution of intent, then you have multiple other resolutions you have to do in place. So
Still have to make the final decision afterwards. We're just moving in the direction of doing that.
Yeah.
I did talk to Lindsay yesterday about it, and her intent was just to get this set. Not that there's any properties or anything right now that she said would be applicable for this, but to get it set, so if something comes in place, that brownfield portion would be already here, would already be part of Montmorency. It would not cover the step two. They could negotiate, individually with the state land bank if they'd like to. We already have one property there, I believe.
Pretty much removes from the liability of repossessions and the resale that we got into trouble with before.
Right. Any further?
I just have a question. So is this are you adopting the resolution? Is that what you've done? Or,
no, this is just to send it to the attorney to review.
oh, okay, all right, because I guess that's what I'm not sure what we're doing.
This is the resolution of intent, if you want to do a roll call.
It's not a roll call because it's just about getting
It's
reviewed.
just about sending it, okay. All in favor, say yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Okay, quick updates. We talked about the after action report meeting. I did reach out to Darren and Andrew. An evening meeting would be hard for them to come here and set up for, so I guess how would you like me to proceed? They can do it during the day. Because they usually just do round trip, so like come up during the day, do it, and then head back home. So evening meeting would be a little difficult for them without having to secure someone to stay and that kind of thing. How, you want me to try to schedule a daytime meeting with them to do it then?
We could, I would keep it within
Okay,
our board
all right.
meeting.
All right, interim fire policy, Judge Black was confirming a few things, and he's supposed to get that back to me. No update on the inmate, but I did talk to Chris and he said that shouldn't be anything on us, it should be sticking with Alpina's liability, so we should be okay, but I'm just letting you know. Reviewed the copier lease with Heather from Dunn's, she's making the updates to the few that were expiring on the contract, and we were upgrading probates to a bigger machine for them to match kind of what district court has. And then removing an older one downstairs off the service agreement so that we don't have that cost anymore, because parts will no longer be available for that. So once that one's dead, we'll have to look at getting a new one, but for now it's not used a ton, so we can just kind of use it till it dies kind of thing. That brings me to the MGT contract renewal. We just finished our fiscal 24 cost allocation. Which means they will start our fiscal 25 after our audit's complete next year. And that means our contract with them is up. So that is for the Title IV D money that we receive in front of the court in prosecutor's office. They basically come through and do all the allocations they need to so we can get the reimbursements from the state. We pay $8,500 a year to have this cost allocation plan done and submitted to the state. And the contract that they're renewing with us is for $8,500 for the first year, and then it increases to $9,000 for the next couple of years after that. And then they also put in there an option to add 2 more years on top of that if we wanted to. So I just need a decision if the board wants to approve that or not.
Okay, so are you either locking in a lower price? If you went on, I did look at that.
Would it keep it the 9 for the next couple years also?
Yeah, they're just giving us the option of adding 2 more years at the same rate.
Vicky's here, she works with MGT too, so I mean, they're pretty easy to work with.
They are, yeah, they are, and I think we get reimbursed more quickly than we used to. We tried to do it ourselves for sure.
Okay. So you don't see anything wrong with the services or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, they're really great to work with.
Do you have that contract renewal?
If you're good with it, I will let her know and we'll get it signed and over to her. I just need a motion to approve it.
I make a motion to accept the MGT contract renewal.
I'll
Right.
second.
8,500 and then future years 9,000. And I would actually add the other 2 years if that's okay.
I agree.
Keep it locked in.
I approve that.
A motion in a second. Do we have any discussion?
Pretty straightforward.
Roll call?
When you say add, then you mean 27 years, 27 and 28?
28, 29. So we'd have
Or are you
25,
doing
26.
29 and 30. Oh,
No, we would, this contract would be for fiscal 25, 6 and 7, and then 28 and 29. Because when they finish the cost allocations of the year prior, so
And it's only fiscal year 25, that's the 8,500.
So 28, 29 is the extra 2.
Right.
Yours?
That's
okay,
to
it's
add
for fiscal 29 to be completed in 2030. That's what the agreement says. Because once the year's completed, they complete it. So 29's cap gets done in 2030. And paid in 2030.
Basically, we get the 1 year at 8,500, the other years it would be 9,000.
Yeah, we were locked in at the 8,500 for the last 5 years. I think it's 5 years or
At
more.
least.
Did you say you, oh, roll
Roll
call?
call,
Is it-
yes, please.
Hardee's,
Yes.
Valtier,
Yes.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Enterprise fleet quotes, we talked about leasing 5 new cars. Enterprise, they're setting up a meeting. They're gonna try within the next week to meet with their upfit team, so we can go over all the specs on that. To get contract costs, what it would cost to outfitters up here in the county, and around the county. What it would cost at each different place to kind of see what we're looking at. So got a meeting next week, should have more information on that. So I don't have detailed spec quotes on any of the cars yet. They just gave me that update yesterday. So
Who's gonna be in that meeting? Do you know? We don't know yet.
I'll pass that on to Chad to see if he wants to be involved. I have, when I get the invitation.
Okay.
Only Bernie should be there that knows everything that's involved in updating the vehicle, and make sure you're not missing anything. There's a lot of little things that add up.
There was 2 recalls on the cars, the new leases. I got the letter, I gave that to Bernie, so, they get notifications, so our deputies actually get notifications on their phone with the app when they drive a lease car, so like, the 2 new cars, the deputies got push notifications saying, hey, there's a recall, so they get it right away, saying that they know they recalled, so they can let Bernie know that they received it, and then they will also mail a physical letter, and they did mail that, so it's been submitted to them, so there are 2 recalls. Our deputies were aware of it, because I actually had heard that.
So that works well.
That's it on. I don't have any new information on that yet. That's it for my report.
Discussion items, we have none. Unfinished business. Action items, county vehicle replacement policy and update, we've had that in our. Before we start discussion, I'll make the motion to accept the county vehicle replacement policy.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, now let's discuss.
Can I ask if this is a new policy or just an update to a policy we already had?
No,
Okay, thank you.
recommended by the company that we do this.
Thank you.
Well, actually, it was.
Myrma said,
Irma asked,
oh,
yeah.
because we had asked about, when I met with them for our renewal, is there recommendations that they give with the liability insurance of how to replace vehicles or anything? And he says, no, but other counties that they work with have a vehicle replacement policy, and he would recommend that the county put something like that in place.
Did everybody have a chance to read through it? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not very deep, it's
Yeah, I
pretty-
did.
It's pretty simple. The only thing that, the replacement criteria. We had, April and I, there had been some different numbers thrown up a little bit higher, but I had talked to somebody at MSP and also the Michigan Department of Agriculture, they all lease. And I asked what their recommendations are, and of course, MSP would be pretty similar to it's gonna be the same kind of travel and activity on the vehicles that ours are. And they said theirs is like at 100,000 to 120. And MDA, interestingly enough, although they're not doing pursuits and things like that, theirs was the same.
Mental health is the same.
No more than 120, yeah.
Yep.
So it's consistent with other agencies around us that doing it, law enforcement as well. Excuse me. Any other questions?
One of the leasing and purchasing options. State or national cooperative purchasing contracts, does that mean purchasing them outright through programs that are available. for-
Where are you looking? from?
Yes.
I just,
Oh, yes, could be any of those. And then there's the red flag or out of service vehicles. And of course, that would be something between the county mechanic, drivers, deputies. Able to mark them as not drivable. The disposal of the retired vehicles includes everything, public auction, trade-in, doing what we've done, you know, accepting bids. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Equalization Director agreements.
Well, we talked at the last meeting about the equalization director and having a contract, but she's actually a paid payroll employee. So we talked about just having an agreement put into place. This basically just goes through and details, you know, the scope of what we're asking her to provide to the county and how she'll be paid, how many hours and things we expect her to be here, and scheduling the duties that she's involved in, the certification that she's got to hold to have that position, supervision, reporting, all those things. So this was just a draft, and she was paid $52,000 contractually to do the job for the last 5 years. It's been with no change in pay, and all she requested was to be increased to $53,000 moving forward. So that number is in there. So you guys, if you're okay with it, can stay. If you're not, you can 52. I did send her this. She looked at it. She was good with everything in it. And I sent it to the attorney so they can review it to see if there was any issues. So if the attorney doesn't find any discrepancies and you guys are okay with this, then we can get this approved for her. It doesn't have to be approved today, but it did go to the attorney, so I can table it to next meeting or whatever you guys would like to do. But if there's any questions on it, so I can let the attorney know so I can change it. Anything.
Curious about the averaging 16 and 24 hours per week. If for some reason she's overrun by a bunch of new demands, what is that gonna be, something that's gotta be put off until she catches up, or is there gonna be extra pay for working over the?
No, it just
24
means that
hours?
we're requiring her to be here at least that amount of time.
When she gets super busy and can't keep up, and just gotta wait until she does keep caught up. We'll make sure that there's no clause where a lot of guys that I've worked with in the past that are paid salary, and if they reach a certain point that they're working more hours than what their core hours were considered, that they get paid an additional amount.
Nope, it specifically says written compensation, no additional compensation shall be provided unless specifically authorized by the county board of commissioners. So this is what she's getting paid to do the job.
I'd make a motion to accept the equalization director agreement.
I'll second.
Motion in a second. We have been discussing it. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Do you want to put in the motion upon?
Oh, upon the attorney
attorney
approval.
approval?
Yes.
Altier,
Yes.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Hardee's.
Yes. Evaluation tool. We had that in our packet. We had different, because everybody had a chance to review the different evaluation types.
So I did receive emails. Mary was looking through the evaluation tools and she made comments on some things. She liked parts of one and parts of another. So on top of your packet was one that kind of took number 2, the option number 2 that you got, that was provided a while ago, and kind of more simplified it. And so it just makes it a little easier to go through, not so cumbersome, not so many pages. So it was just kind of a shortened or condensed version of number 2. So you can put that as option number 4 if you'd like. The 3 that you were given before were just samples from other counties that I'd received from my admin listserv that they use in their county.
Yeah, the annual controller evaluation procedure, I think this was the number 1. That would be very cumbersome to try to tabulate.
Number 3, the best would seem to be the most directed with the most options for rating.
Was that this one?
The third option, whatever that
I
was.
think that was this one, because that's what I had to see that this was, that's kind of the one.
Yeah,
I liked.
number 4 is kind of a combination of 2 questions with 3's format, in a sense, giving you an easy way to answer the questions.
Right, and it had a little, and it was a little, I think you only have what? Okay, it has 18 questions.
What type of evaluation are you talking about?
The controller, Montmorency County Controller
Did you get a
Performance
copy?
Evaluation.
So samples of evaluation, there were 4 different ones.
Yes,
Here's this one. She just gave us one. We'll get it.
anybody have a preference?
I like this one.
You like that? Okay,
Yep.
that's number 4. Yeah. I do like the vendor feedback.
And that can be used on any of
In
them.
addition to it. Okay.
Like 4.
Motion?
I'll make the motion, we accept Montmorency County Controller Performance Evaluation number 4. Board of Commissioners only.
No second.
Motion second. Any further discussion?
I don't know. Only, I mean, talking about vendors, and I was wondering about different department heads might have some input they'd like to put in too.
Well, the
Because
vendor,
it's the people you're working with, basically, that they can either make the comments directly to the board or whatever, just something else to take into consideration.
well, vendors, definitely because they work with the county. You know, talking about like a 360 evaluation, which is kind of what you're looking at. I've had years of evaluations. There was 1 year we tried to do that. It really isn't, it's not an apple to orange evaluation. Because in any given job, you might have to say no to things that when you turn around and ask for something, it's going to automatically kind of give you a negative start. I think the vendor portion should definitely be in there, just because that's the face of our county when you're talking to like MIRMA and MERS and the vendors that we just use on an everyday basis, like our IT and those kind of things.
Added to this.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that, I don't know. I had grabbed it from the other day. I think you
Okay.
had it in your packet. It was that. I think it was just at the very end.
Yes, it was.
That, but she said that could be added.
Well, it is my feeling that they should give the opportunity to voice their opinion, to be written, and you know, it can either accept them or not accept them. Just
Well, this is for, since April is under us, they're not her supervisors in any way. Only, this would be only for the board to complete. What?
Somebody she has to work with, like the vendors.
You're suggesting put them in as a vendor?
But just the department heads of people that have to work with her on a, I don't know about a daily basis, but a frequent basis. Maybe come up with a short form for them to fill out.
Yeah, I'm not so inclined to do that, just because of of what she has to do. She reports to us. We're responsible for that. Unless we want to do evaluations for.
I think each department should evaluate their own department.
Yeah. But they can do their own. Each
Right.
department.
Each
chooses-
department can do their own.
Determine if they're gonna do that or not. I don't know what that would serve. Any other discussion? Okay, so what I'm understanding Bob to say is under the instructions for board members, this evaluation is for the board, is for the county board to complete. It is for us to complete regarding the controller. The vendor is an option that could be done, anytime. But what I'm hearing Bob saying is he wants to, only the board, county board complete this survey. And possibly,
Vendors and department heads.
I still think departments should be evaluating their own departments.
So you-
Goes to a lot of the questions like leadership, relationship. Interpersonal skills. Said it could just be a short form. You can, nothing anybody in the public has to see other than us. You can look at it if you want to take the recommendations or opinions, fine. If you don't, fine too.
Why would we do it if we're not gonna take any, if we're not gonna do the recommendations?
Well, you take it into consideration, don't mean it's gospel, you gotta do it. Follow the recommendation is just something to consider.
you feel like amending? That he's asking for. basically,
No.
yeah, so. All right. Do we want to do, so all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Opposed, no?
No,
Motion passes. Albert Township Transfer Site Compliance Memo.
Cindy is here from Albert Township.
here, but don't ask me questions.
No, I'm just letting you know, that's why she's here. I
She
got an email from Sandy over at, Albert Township. They have to have basically a compliance consistency from the county saying that they're consistent with compliance for their transfer site. It doesn't have to be anything super formal. It can literally be an email. Once I've brought this to the board and talked about it, I can send an email back and say, yes, we agree, and they're good to go, and it lets them continue with what they need to do. When I first got the email, I did reach out to Kristen at RRS, who heads up all of our MMP stuff. Because I'm like, well, we have this new materials management planning committee, like, should it go through them or does it go through us? I didn't know how that process works, but since we aren't completely set up with that plan yet, they said that we can do this, but Kristen did send me this memo to put to you guys, basically stating that they would be compliant, and so I just need, it says the recommendation is for the Montmorency County Board of Commissioners to determine that the Elbert Township Transfer Station is consistent with both the 2013 Montmorency Oscoda Solid Waste Management Plan and the Materials Management Plan that is currently under development. The facility serves an important role for the efficient and cost-effective collection of solid waste for residents of Elbert Township. Further, it will be evaluated for the potential for recovery of recyclables as part of the materials management planning process in the coming years. So I just, if you guys are okay with approving that, then I will send this over with the email to the township so they can get it taken care of with you.
So we make a motion to accept the recommendation for plan consistency with Albert Township of November 4th, 2025. I so made the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone have questions? Cheryl?
I have a question, and I brought this up to Michelle just briefly, just before the meeting. I didn't know if she'd seen it. On page 2 at that top paragraph, the very last sentence, I guess, kind of concerns me. Only because where it talks about, says, and to ensure inclusion of the Albert Township Transfer Station in the materials management plan under development. And it specifically names Albert Township Transfer. I guess, I mean, we will all would like to have multiple spots where people can do recycling, but until such time as we know how much money we have and what exactly is going to have to occur, I don't know. I just would hesitate to ensure inclusion of them. Is that going to somehow
So just this copy,
make that we have to, there have to be a site?
no, it's just saying that I'm gonna forward this to the Materials Management Planning Committee, and they're gonna include it in their records so that it's discussed with your planning committee when you're doing your plans, that the county approved this as of right now.
Again,
It's
as long
saying-
as it's not holding us to
No.
that we
We'd
have to have a
have to do
site
that
there.
site.
That's the only thing I'm concerned with, because we have we have a county, we'd love to be able to probably have transfer, a recycling site in every township would be nice, but we know that probably isn't gonna happen, but we'd like to even have it maybe in multiple, each town, Lewiston, Atlanta, and Hillman maybe have one, but we don't know that that's gonna be even a reality either. So I just.
If we approve this, does it set us to where we have to do it?
No, it's just saying that they've met all the requirements to be compliant to date. And that we are saying that they're compliant to date and they follow all the guidelines that they needed to follow. And so now I'm gonna give a copy of this saying that we've said that they're compliant to date, so you guys have it for your records when you're doing your plan for the future.
Because your plan is going to determine where the sites
Right.
are.
Yeah, our representative from Eagle, Brian Ware, that we've been working with, sent over like a sample, and it's literally 2
Yes,
sentences
it'll be
that I
evaluated for
forwarded it to
potential
April, so you can get an
for
idea of what
recovery.
has to be in it.
So no site has been selected, just means you're compliant to be able to be selected.
We have recently, the state changed their things, and as of like October of 2024, we now fall into a larger category and have to do this. We've never had to do this before over there. So it's a whole new thing. It's not something that's been missed out or anything. But now there's all kinds of things to get it started. So it's really just starting, and then we have to do a yearly thing, which actually tomorrow's the deadline for the annual, which we've done. But to get this set, and in 5 years again, we'll be asking for another letter to, unless they change something else again, but.
So the email states that regarding our conversation earlier, here's what Eagle requires to confirm compliance with the county management plan. The correspondence can be in the form of an email on county letterhead from a county official stating that Albert Township's transfer facility is both a part of the county management plan and has been in existence prior to 2023 when the Part 1115 updates were passed. It's that simple. We do not require a formal report of any kind, just a simple statement from county officials.
A lot of topic, but who's paying for all this? I mean, I know the landfill has to pay a lot of money for recycling.
For this, well, Albert Township and Vienna uses the transfer site. It's supposed to be for residents only. Can't say that they check every single person that comes in, but we pay for it wholly from that. I believe it's $2 a bag to drop off. And we do about 10,000 yards a year as far as trash that's picked up from there. And so we pay for that. We get billed every month. GFL sends it in, you know, what they pick up, they weigh it, they do all the stuff and everything. So we pay for it ourselves, and it is not a big winner, but we are not upside down in it. I mean, we might make a couple $1,000s a year off it, and literally that's all. So it's not like a huge money maker or, you know, anything like that. It's just a
Hire
convenience.
somebody to operate the drop-off site.
Yeah, we have 3 part-time employees because it's only open,
20, up to 24 hours.
Well, she's talking about her side.
yeah, for ours and stuff. They're open 4 part-time days, and actually going into December 1st, they'll only be open 3 part-time days until spring comes, and they'll be back for 4. Their biggest pickup is July 4th. After July 4th weekend, we've got more dumpsters full than you know, we can handle for stuff. It is amazing the amount of people that use this, like say a trash pickup or something. So, yeah, it's a huge thing. And like I said, it's not a moneymaker, it's really just a convenience. I was surprised. I thought we were making thousands of dollars, and we're making a couple $1,000s a year, that's it.
Yeah. This is a service that's never been offered before, and getting this started is the hard part, but once you have it established, the residents no longer have to dump it on their
Right.
back of their property.
And
or
they've had it for many years. It actually, before maybe anybody's time here, used to be a full dump,
Yeah,
which I didn't realize until I started doing this. So the land could really never be developed into anything else,
right.
because the amount it's gonna take hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean it up, just like out here would happen. So the
Yeah.
plan is to never do anything else with it.
Yeah.
Because of that, I don't know if anybody remembers, if you've been here long enough, that it used to be a real dump.
There's many sites like that that are running into the same problem, and this is the cure.
Yeah,
And this is why we're trying to get this all up and running right now, so that we don't have to go back, or our grandkids don't have to go back and start all of this cleanup.
well, and we are talking about, this isn't law or anything, possibly when spring comes, is opening up a couple acres for more brush dumps. Because people still haven't cleaned up from the storms. There was no
Yeah.
place to take stuff, and they don't have anything to do. And we actually have 30 acres, and this only encompasses about 3 acres that they're using. But maybe to do that and to charge, say, non-residents or landscaping companies, you know, some kind of fee, like $50 to come dump a trailer or something. But residents could do it for free, and then the township would take up the cost of having that all mulched and done stuff. So they're looking at more things, but we just need to get this done. And it was a $750 fee that we have to pay, they're saying every 5 years now, to set us up under this new registration and stuff. So maybe some future things, and if you guys are looking at future things too, that could be incorporated. You know, not saying I can't speak for, you know, the township, but
Well, the
recycle
management,
things would be fantastic.
well, that's what the
Take it to
management,
Gaylord and unload and then do shopping.
that's what the management plan is all about, so.
Yeah.
Right, so
So
it's
any more
possible.
questions? All those in favor of accepting the memo and having April send it to the,
Yes,
yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
Good job, Stud.
I'll send the email tomorrow.
Thanks.
You're welcome. TBTA, they amended their articles of incorporation. Cheryl sent this over to me. I need a motion by the board to approve these.
I move to accept the articles of incorporation of the Thunder Bay Transportation Authority effective July 30,
I'll second that.
2019. Motion in a second, any discussion? Were there any significant changes to this?
You
I
know,
believe there were not significant. No, there were some small changes. I think there were 3.
I think you mentioned those before,
Yeah.
didn't you, in your, yeah. I didn't see anything when I read through it. Did anybody have any concerns when I read through it? No.
I haven't had a chance to thoroughly look through it, but I don't see any objections so far.
All those in favor of accepting, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. The MIDC attorney contracts.
Can I make a couple comments about that before you sign it?
Okay.
I just wonder whether or not the board is really cognizant of what the staffing levels are at the MIDC, what the salary levels are at the MIDC, both for attorneys and for support staff. Because I think what you're gonna see is that even the lowest level attorneys at the MIDC are paid more than I am. The higher levels are paid much more than I am. And the staffing that they have is also extremely generous. Now, I understand that it's a grant, and so it's easy to just, the state's gonna pay it. But I think you should at least be aware of what those levels are. And I don't know whether the board has a breakdown of what they're paying the attorneys or what they're paying the staff, but I think it's important that you know that. And it's also important that you know that they keep adding attorneys. And so it makes a difference in terms of what I do and what Luke does, the assistant, because they need to prove, the attorneys need to prove that they can keep adding more. So there's a lot more, I think, motions that are filed. There's a lot more delay. They won't do anything when they could get it done easily. They wait till they wait until, so they can have 3 or 4 court hearings. And this happens more I think, in district court than it does in circuit, but it is something that has caused, a greater workload, I think, for us, even though our case numbers are down. But I think it's important that you know what they're making, and that's something that you should be aware of. And I don't think it's contained in the document that you're asked to approve today.
No, the
That's
contract,
just the contractual part.
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
The grant agreement lists all the details. That's the renewable grant through the state. And I was just pulling that up. So I could get those numbers for you because it's in the application that Bill Pfeiffer does.
So what are the options?
It's 34 pages here, so. So the fiscal 26 grant came through egrams from Bill and the state to renew. And the renewal this year is, for the total grant, is $407,000. $407,471. Oh my goodness, $407,471.34. And we have to pay a local share of $16,997.88. That is a decrease from last year. The grant last year was $445,000. It's only a decrease like $6 for us, or $50 for us for the whole year, but so it is less than fiscal 25's grant. The contracts that you have in front of you to approve are for Bill Pfeiffer and for the public defender's office, which is what she's talking about, the defender's office and the attorneys working there. The contract for Pfeiffer for 26 is $20,280 annually. So it went up $190 a month. And then for the public defenders, it's for $276,155.22, and that was $28,469 a month. Now it's down to $23,012.93 a month. So it did go down. In the application, they usually list, here we go. Here's all the attorneys. They list the attorneys that they're going to use. Can you see this?
How many does it list there?
It has Bayet, Grankowitz, Julie Miller, Bill Pfeiffer, Richard Steiger, Kareem Johnson, and Michael Roth. And it tells you the training and how many years of practice they've had in it.
Mr. Johnson, I don't even think, my understanding, he doesn't even live here. They're paying him, he makes the same amount of money for his drive up and his drive back, and he's somewhere downstate, I think.
So in the contract, when it gives the details, it tells you
And this, it tells you the managed assigned council administration, and it tells you that's the 20,280 for Pfeiffer. And then it goes down to conflict case defense, and it tells you 40,560 is attorneys paid a weekly availability fee of $780 for on-call and regularly scheduled arraignments. This represents 6 hours of time. Attorney is required to travel to Atlanta as necessary. Fee is paid regardless of number of arraignments in any given week. If the attorney spends more than 6 hours in any given week, the hours spent more than 6 are billed at $130 an hour.
There hasn't been a time when they have spent more than
Probably.
45 minutes. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, he handles arraignments. He's supposed to, meet with people beforehand, and then he only handles the arraignments. So, he does come over quite often. He doesn't do it by Zoom all the time. He does it occasionally. But, are you saying he gets 6 hours pay for that regardless of how much time he spends?
780 weekly on call. And if it's over 6 hours, then he'd get additional money.
So that's just
That
for being
don't
on call.
include-
But, and that's not even what I mean, does it list the salaries for the others?
Yep, so that would come down here. So then it says 72,500 conflict overflow council. I don't know if that's the public. defender's
That's
office.
when that would go partly to Pfeiffer and perhaps other attorneys as well.
Okay, here we go. Direct expenses, so the contracts for attorneys. The grant manager will be responsible for all duties and responsibilities. Doesn't tell me the breakdown of those attorneys.
So you pay the contract fee and then you pay the weekly as well, or the hourly on top of it? No, or the contract covers everything?
Oh, so it sounds like-
The state grant covers everything. We pay, for the whole thing, we pay a total of just under $17,000. And the state gives a contract and pays all the rest of this. So we get all the money in from MIDC grant. It covers everything. Our share has to be $17,000 for all of this.
Thank you.
Based on a percentage or
The-
17,000.
Yeah, it's the local share percentage that they were required to provide. So depending on what they proposed for the grant that year, depending on what our local share will be. It's always been around $16,000 to $17,000 as long as I can remember what we paid for this program. It does list all of, in the application, the personnel. So it says chief public defender. It tells you the state grants paying them $20,000. Other attorney, director of operations, $20,000. This is for the whole year. Assistant public defender, $34,000. Office manager, $10,000. Other legal secretary intake specialist, just under $9,000.
That's our share, is that right?
No, this is the whole grant. Not our share. This is what goes.
Well, that's not what the salary is.
That's not what the salary is. That's the portion of the grant that goes to those individuals.
Right.
So there's no salary there that we can see.
No, it just, you could figure it out because it tells you the rates. So like the chief public defender makes $69.16 an hour. And other attorneys are $69.16. Assistant public defenders $47.15 an hour. Office managers $36.67 an hour. Legal secretary is $29.77. Other lead social worker $33.87. Assistant public defender $51 an hour. Legal secretary $25. Other social worker $27. An investigator $41.21. Other or intern, they just give you a blanket. We're gonna pay about $1,000 for it. And then it breaks down the FICA, unemployment insurance, and a portion of their benefits, which is about $43,000. And then it goes into our contracts with like Westlaw, office, expenses for the lease in Alpena and Atlanta, and an intern and a fraction of those amounts. And that's about $19,000 total. And then the memberships. And then the training that they might go to, which is like total $1,200.
But this is who we have.
So Pfeiffer has to write the grant. submit it to the state, get approval, and then it comes to us and they tell us, here's your share. Yeah.
Well, I think
We
it's,
do
I mean,
it,
it's
it's gotta
still
be done at the
important
state
that you be
level.
consistent.
Make a change on their pay.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What?
Basically, you have to be done at the state levels. You want to try to make a change on what they're getting paid. There's nothing
No.
we can
No, you can't
No.
even do it at the state level. You just, they basically submit what they are gonna charge you to do the job. And you write it into the grant, estimating on how many, your caseloads and things like that, like that's how the grant's figured. And then the state either approves or denies it. Like Pfeiffer's is, these contracts, like. Once the grant, they tell you that they're okay to go with, you have to say, okay, we're gonna pay them the grant money we get for these contracts.
can't shop around for other attorneys.
I don't know.
Well, I guess my concern is that it strikes me that you should at least be aware of what they're making in relation to the same kind of work that's done by, you know,
Mhm.
I mean, I would argue that my level of responsibility is greater than any of theirs. I mean, I make a decision whether somebody's charged with a crime. I make a decision whether I recommend they go to jail. But it just bothers me that you don't have any, nobody seems to have any idea what the salary levels are for these people. I can guarantee that the legal secretary in my office isn't making whatever that number, $29 an hour.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just something that I think you should be aware of, because it is a local entity. I would bet you that office that they are renting in Atlanta, I bet it went 6 months with nobody setting foot in it. And they don't staff it. I assume that the grant, probably that was something that they were asked to do, to have a local office, even though they're not gonna use it, and they're not using it. But those are just things that, I understand it's a grant. I understand the county doesn't pay a lot for it. But I think it is important that you understand what kind of salaries they're making. So I would ask that you request that information from them. So.
Yeah, I have the hourly rates, so we could figure out their salaries from those.
Yeah, they should though, the prosecutor's right, they should have a list.
And it is.
Oh, they do.
It's
They
here.
do, but
And I
it's
have
not-
everybody's wages and their hourly rates.
That's how you just divide
We
it
just
up.
have to figure out
Well, what?
by how many hours.
Yeah, you gotta figure out how many hours they're basing that on.
So like the chief public defender, I can figure that, hang on 1 second. $125,871 would be his annual salary.
That's correct. That's the number that I had heard before. And what's my salary, April?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot. 88, 89.
And there are, that's just that is, I think, Mr. Steigers, who's the chief public defender.
No,
Use them
that's the
because-
defender's office, that wouldn't be Bill's.
No,
Oh, Steiger,
no, I'm
Steiger.
sorry. It would be Mr. Steiger, not Mr.
Steiger, yeah.
Mr. Pfeiffer just does the contractual stuff.
We're just one of many clients, I'm sure, so that 120,000.
No, we're not one of many.
No, no,
No,
no.
we're not.
That
It's
100
us and Alpena.
Yeah, it's just us and
I'm just
Alpena.
saying That lawyer, but I'm sure that's not the only thing he does, that probably has other clients and stuff too.
No, the 120, no, they don't. no.
That 125 is what he gets paid.
Yeah.
They put a portion of that salary to each grant.
Right.
So-
Like your typical law firm where they take on many clients.
No,
No,
it's not your typical
no,
law.
it's not.
That's my
But I
point.
thought
He
that
gets
might
paid
be-
125,000, and in this grant, say 20% is Montmorency and 80% is Alpena.
Right.
So 80% of the grant gets paid out of Alpena for his salary and 20% gets paid for Montmorency. That's how that works. $88,842, Vicky. If we go up to 91,500 with 3% COLA.
Those are just numbers that I think you need to be aware of. And in terms of, that 29, that bothers me, I think, more than anything. Because it's a full-time position. It's a legal secretary. It's the same thing that's done in my office. And in my office, a lot of it is reimbursed to the county. And they don't make anything close to that. But those are, that's
Yeah.
not a,
The
that's
legal
not a number
secretary
that
is
anybody would.
2504.
What's that?
Legal secretary is 2504. The legal secretary / intake specialist is 29. That's the two that they got listed.
But those were not anything that was figured when we did, and I don't think any of you were here when we did the great salary.
No,
Wait,
we've
examination.
just seen the charts.
Yes, but I mean, none of that kind of thing was considered for that. So it's just something that I think is, sooner or later, the state's gonna say, okay, we can't afford that anymore. And that's something that, you're gonna be stuck paying your percentage of. Because I can guarantee you that the public defender's office, before they came up with this MIDC thing, were making nothing close to that. So it's just since the MIDC started, that those levels have
So
been
since
what
the
they
grant.
are.
And what, that started in 21.
I have around there, yeah. It
Is
hasn't
there
been
an
that
ending
long.
to that?
They're renewable every year.
State
Currently, it's the state grant every year.
Raise taxes.
What's the option? What's the alternative to not?
You
And I'm
don't-
not saying, I'm not
Up to
saying.
your
that-
I know it, that's what I'm saying. It's just a catch-22 all the way around. Lots of money. Did we make a motion?
No, there's no motion.
Oh, we just started talking about it, okay.
So you have two contracts you have to approve. One's for Pfeiffer, one's for the public defender's office, and those are the amounts that I had given you. When you talked about it.
I make a motion to accept MIDC attorney contracts.
No second.
Motion in a second. We can continue the conversation or we can take a roll call vote. That's what we have, roll call.
Yeah.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Hardee's,
Yes,
Peltier.
Yes.
the fiscal year 26 child care fund.
Janelle emailed, right before the meeting, she's got a sick kid, she couldn't make it. No big things to talk about on her budget for the, childcare fund. But I'll just kind of read her cover letter that she gave to you guys. Attached, please find the proposed fiscal 26 childcare fund budget for Montmorency County. The cover page presents an overview of all programming and funding the juvenile division would like to fund through the childcare fund for fiscal year 26. The total budget requested totals $421,520. This includes a number of items that are unknown at this time, but required by the state due to massive legislative changes in the manner in which juvenile cases are handled and initiated. Further, there is a requested increase in institutional care as the court has seen a significant increase in these expenses for fiscal year 25. For fiscal 26, the juvenile division will continue to receive 75% back of community-based programming charges, including services and wages and fringes for all staff, and 50% back on all institutional and out-of-home care charges. I'm requesting approval for the full amount requested, and I look forward to discussing the proposal. But
Doubled. So the total increase,
yeah, you'll see family foster care doubled, institutional care went up from 150 to 212.5. Independent living went up $1,000, with intensive going up from 147,350 to 155,000. Basic grant stays the same. So there's subtotal of 436,520 with revenue coming in at 15,000. So it would be a total request of 421,520 for fiscal 26. And the child care fund balance right now. Oh, I don't think I have it on the sheets.
What did it go up last year?
It was close to the same. It wasn't significant. Oh no, actually, no, I think it went up just in the institutional, no,
I thought it was.
no, it wasn't that. It doubled on the, basic grant.
Oh,
The year before was less, I believe.
I make a motion to accept the fiscal year 26 child care fund budget as presented by Janelle Mott in this memorandum. 10/27/2025.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I would like you to ask her what that institutional care covers. Just, I think she discussed it last time, and I think I remember what she said, the differentiation is between that. We all know what family foster care and independent living, but that institutional care.
I believe that's what, so, I'll ask her for sure, but remember when we talked about how we kept getting letters saying that, when we didn't have no beds for kids in this
Correct.
area.
That's what I'm assuming. this
And
is,
so we
is
have to
these
send
beds.
them to these different facilities, and the facilities charge you, used to be $100-$200 a day.
Oh.
It's up to almost $500 a day.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
A lot of places.
And you
they
can't
just
get
go to the
beds.
Hospital and sit and wait,
Yeah,
and have
So
someone sit there. when
that
somebody's in bed.
institutional care is
Right.
hefty.
Just confirm that that's what that
Yes.
is. And actually, I'd like to know how many beds we have right now in Michigan. She knows that answer.
Something great to do with the jail.
100% would. They were supposed to be, remember she talked about, they were working on a program to put a housing facility in northern Michigan between our 4 or 5 counties.
Yes.
I have
think
not
that
heard an
ended.
update on that.
I think there was something that was being worked on with Alpena that didn't. Not
Alpena shut it down somehow.
somehow.
Okay. I remember them mentioning it, but then nothing ever came of it.
500 doesn't seem a lot. They're charging $50 a day to watch a child not in school, $250 a week to have a sitter in their home. So for, a week, so I could see that the 24-hour care would.
I know that it doesn't have anything to do with it right now, but I know that people had talked over the years about combining Hillman and Atlanta schools. If that ever happened, one of the schools would be open, that would be a good facility. If you could, put in for the youth.
The operating costs would be sky high, so.
You'd have operating costs no matter what,
But there'd be a lot more available from the state for things.
right?
like
You'd
that.
have a lot of funding.
Well,
I mean, that,
You make revenue because you could charge places to come,
bringing it, yeah. I mean,
just
that,
like you're doing, getting charged to do.
One of the problems is there aren't beds. The reason there aren't beds is because they raised the age limit.
And they
So-
can't get workers.
Right, well, but so now you have a lot of, for the institutional care, it's the more serious stuff, obviously, and so you have 17-year-olds who used to be considered adults criminally, who are now juveniles, and so they're taking up a lot of those beds. Because that, obviously, the older is the more likely to be the serious things, but that's one of the bed shortages.
Not to mention, it'd be interesting to know the length of stay, the common.
I know we can't get beds for kids that we've got, serious offenses that they can't find placement for.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Cheryl?
Hamlin,
yes.
Hardee's,
Yes.
Peltier,
yes,
DeBrent.
Yes.
Motion passes. The Murma fiscal year insurance renewal.
Okay, so this is kind of new. Usually I just give you my spiel that Chris gives me about our insurance and what our new rate's gonna be for the year and kind of go with that. But this year he came to me with some options and some things to look at for the county. They have an option where instead of us being a part of the state pool for our liability retention fund, we can have a self-insured retention fund. Which means that is our fund to use. We would put whatever amount of money into it we want to every year. Well, I can't say that. We technically have to fund it up into at least $44,000. And it has to stay at that amount. But the first year we would be required to put 21,000 in it, and then the next year until you get to that minimum amount, and then you can leave it or keep adding to it. One of the things that Chris and I talked about is this year they're planning for our state pool distribution and dividends coming back to be at $88,000, and this is dropping. It was like 160 to 120, and now it's down to 88,355 for the coming year. If we took that money we're getting back and we put that into that self-insured retention fund, that would, the whole 88, we put it in there and we leave it in there. It builds interest, it takes care of our liability payments, our deductibles, everything. And we wouldn't have to put anything in for the retention fund this year. Now, switching to the self-insured retention fund means that we would have a $25,000. I'm saying the right numbers. A $25,000 per occurrence liability. And our vehicle physical damage deductible is $1,000, and our property and crime is $1,500 per occurrence. There's no deductible for the liability. That's just that 25,000 liabilities. But with this program and the 25,000 per occurrence.
Is this option one?
Yes.
Okay.
That means we would also pay a premium to get a 37,500 stop loss. Meaning even though the per occurrence is 25,000, we're never gonna pay more than 37,500 for the year. We're capped at that. Right now with the pool, when we get like say the car gets wrecked, we have to pay the $250 deductible out of our general fund, and then the insurance covers the rest. With the self-insured retention fund, we don't pay anything out of pocket. The deductible and everything comes right out of our self-insured retention fund. So all of it's paid for right out of there. We're only required to keep about $40,000 in the retention fund. So anything we put in extra and built interest, if we ever needed it, you can take from it anytime. You just can't take it below that minimum required of 40. So if we put that 88,000 in there and it starts building and building and building, you could eventually at one point take 50 grand out of it if you needed to use for something else or purchase a.
Will we be penalized if we?
Nope,
take that out?
it's your fund to do what you want with. You just have to keep that minimum in there to cover your liabilities. Basically.
And it's used like general fund?
Yep.
Or it's not?
You
it's
can
not
use it for
even-
whatever you want. It becomes it's general fund money. You can use it for whatever you want. Right now, we are part of the state pool, which means that you look at we don't pay anything for liability because it goes part of the state pool. And we pay every year $25,000 into that state pool retention fund. Regardless, every year we put $25,000 into that. When there's a bunch of liabilities, we share it with all the counties around us in that pool. So say our neighboring counties have a ton of liability issues that come up and they just use all of that retention fund. We're not going to get any money back because it reduces what's left in that retention fund. If nobody's really using it, then you could get a big dividend because it's a high amount and we're getting that money back. But you're taking a gamble because you're pulling it in with all the rest of the counties around you. And like I said, then you pay the $250 per occurrence physical damage for a vehicle deductible out of your general fund and your property and crime. So what Chris did is he took, you'll see on this sheet, it has this listed like this.
Yeah.
He went back and looked at the last 5 years of our claims. And the first line is our current program. Our first column is the current program we're under, the state pool. And the second one is the proposed program that he's talking about. And if we went with this insurance policy this year, we would have to renew at a total of $155,267. If we go with the option one he's given us and we put those dividends into the retention fund, it's actually only gonna be $124,123. So it'll save us about $30,000 this year on our insurance policy. But looking at the claims, so like at 2021, you see we had an accident with a car, so we paid the $250 deductible. If we were in the other program, we would have had $1,000 come out of our retention fund. Next one, 5,000 out of our retention fund, but we hit that stop loss of that 37,500. So we wouldn't have to keep paying all those amounts. So if we would have had the program back in 2021, out of pocket total, we would only paid 130,000 instead of $156,288. For 2022, we would have only paid 142,000 out of pocket instead of 157. For 23, we would only paid 140 instead of 157,000. 24, we had a little bit more claims, so we would have paid 148,000 out instead of 147,000. And then for 25, as of right, mind you, these go from July 1 to June 30th. That's 30 years they talk at. For 25, 133,000 compared to $158,000 in that current program. So we paid $158,000 on our insurance for the year. And if we would have been with the other program, it would have been 133. So looking at our history and claims and everything he's reviewed on it, he thinks we would be better off going with the self-insured retention fund because our out-of-pocket costs would be a lot less. And then you also get to build your own retention fund and use it, and it's yours and nobody else gets to pull or take from it and change that.
Well, and considering we're getting an 88,000 dividend, if we left that in there, knowing what we've, you know.
That would cover you, your retention requirement for the next 4 years. And it builds interest, and if you don't use it, you get even more years out of it.
So what is this option called? Is that what the new biz model comparison is? Is that what this? I don't see where there's a actual description of what the program is that he's
So it's-
recommending other than option one.
It is the self-insured retention of $25,000 per occurrence policy instead of the state pool.
You keep it for a year and decide you want to go to
We
the
can
other.
change back to the other one. Yep,
No
we're not stuck with
penalties or
it.
anything?
Every year you
Okay.
renew, you get to pick the plan you want to go with.
So self-insured retention plan of 2026, you said?
Yep.
Versus-
Because that's one of the questions I did ask him. I'm like, oh, if we do this, are we stuck with it? And he said, nope. He said, if you don't like it and you want to go back to the pool, you can next year, no problem. And then that retention fund that we put the money into, it's ours.
Is that July to June? Or is that,
So their loss years are July to June, but our premium runs January to December.
okay,
I make a motion to go with the self-insured retention plan for 2026 versus the state pool.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second, any discussion? So just looking, I just want to make sure that I understand here, looking at the, on this side, April, the total that we paid out in 2024. Where, so the pros, all of those 250 deductibles would have been,
Cars.
okay.
Well, the price and summary, we're looking at option one
Yes.
versus the expiring 146,995.
No, you want to actually look at the new column, because that's what we, if we stick with the plan, it's the 155. And remove the retention fund allocation, because we don't have to pay that 21,000, because we're going to use our dividend credits from this year to fill that in there. So that actually brings your premium down to 124,123. You see where it says retention fund allocation? Yeah, we pay $25,000 in the state pool every single year. But this year, we wouldn't have to make any retention fund allocation if we decide to put that distribution in there. And we don't even have to do the whole thing. We could just put $21,000 of that dividends we received this year. So, I mean, that's completely up to you. But looking at our budget at the end of the year right now, we have a budget surplus going, and we could afford to put that into that retention fund to help us for any liability things that are coming.
In the
And
future.
knowing some of the things that are in the
Right.
pipeline might be a good idea.
Yeah, especially because it would cover it for quite a few
And
years.
that's the 88 that you mentioned.
Hmm?
That's the 88,000 that you mentioned.
Yep.
Any further questions?
Yes, I'd be okay with it as long as it doesn't turn into, every time you have a surplus, it gets taken out for something else, and you always end up putting money into it for that. You have some type of insurance that it was gonna always be used just for that.
Well, we
instead of
have to-
becoming part of the general fund.
Well, we have to maintain that 44,000 in
Yeah.
that fund.
He was gonna double check the percentage, and I think he said it had to be 15% over what your stop loss is. I think that's what he said. He was gonna double check that number. So the stop loss was. So 43,125 has to stay in there.
But maybe what Bob is talking to, I think he's just saying that, it doesn't become a fund that just gets drawn down.
Yeah,
It would
down to the
be-
minimum, because
Right.
they always find something else you can use. it
No,
for,
I would
rather
say
than
you-
stay in there just for that specific purpose.
I would say that the board uses some kind of resolution that you keep a minimum balance in that self-insured retention fund, I would put something in words that you're going to keep a certain amount in there at all times and only use it for big ticket things that you might need. It should be for facility improvements or, things like that, because it's for liability insurance.
Yes, something like the revolving fund
Mhm.
that we can, a similar resolution. Actually, April, if, that would be a good idea if you could come up with a resolution for that we can look at. Is it a good idea? So that, like Bob says, it can't be used for other purposes without direct cause and commissioner approval.
Yeah,
Right.
actual emergency maybe, but it can't just be because of something frivolous the county wants.
Right. It would have to come before us. How's the plan? Any further discussion? Roll call?
Hardee's,
Yes.
Peltier,
Yes.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes,
Passes.
I will get that taken care of with Chris.
And this is the adopting the NIMS for incident management and emergency response resolution 2025-14.
Yep, so, Sarah brought this to me. In order for us to get assistance from the network, we have to be saying that we're gonna utilize that program. So we have to put a resolution in place. We're required to have a resolution in place saying that we're going to be utilizing those services in case of an emergency, so that we have access to these things.
Process anything to join or?
No.
By joining, we're eligible for the $221,000 programs and services.
Correct.
A motion to make, to accept the resolution 2025-15 as presented. Do I have a support?
no support.
Motion and support, discussion?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, it's not very detailed.
Whereas the President of the United States and Homeland Security Presidential Directive HSPD-5 directed the development and administration of the National Incident Management System, NIMS. And NIMS provides a consistent nationwide approach for federal, state, local, and tribal governments to work together to prepare for, respond to, recover from, and mitigate the effects of domestic incidents, regardless of cause, size, or complexity. And whereas the adoption of NIMS will enhance the ability of Montmorency County to coordinate and collaborate with other jurisdictions and emergency response agencies. And whereas the use of a standardized incident management system will improve communication and coordination between public safety and governmental agencies during emergencies and disasters. And whereas it is in the best interest of Montmorency County to adopt the NIMS framework as the standard for incident management and response. Now therefore be it resolved that the County of Montmorency Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the National Incident Management System as the county standard for incident management and emergency response. And be it further resolved that all county departments and agencies shall take the necessary actions to incorporate NIMS principles, policies, and procedures into their planning, training, and operations. And be it further resolved that the County of Montmorency Emergency Management Office is designated to coordinate NIMS implementation and compliance on behalf of the county.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Pelletier,
Yes.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Amlin,
Yes.
Hardees.
Yes. That completes the agenda. Without objection, we will adjourn. It is 8:03.
Yep. Yep, I will. I'll make sure it's for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All that other discussion on there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I got two right here.